Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for FPL content going into these final few game weeks of the season. Oh my god, we really are getting close. The decisions now are more important than ever. So we're going to try and help you to push up the ranks. We're going to try and give you some advice. I'm going to see what we can do. So today in the Game Week 36 preview video, oh my god, I can't believe it's so late already in the season, but we've got for you a free hit template that you might want to use. I think it's a really good week for a free hit, so I'm going to be talking about a little free hit template that I've whipped up for you, and then I'm going to be talking about some differentials. Like right now more than ever, differentials are going to be so important to just even get you those extra 5 points, 10 points, the things that push you up that just little bit of points means so much rank, because the ranks are so tight at the moment, so it really is important to get those differentials. And then finally I'm going to talk about captains for Game Week 36, which I think I've nailed. There's loads of options this week, but I think I've nailed the best one, so we're going to be talking about that at all. Before that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for 500 subscribers, halfway towards my goal of 1,000, so I'm so pleased with that. So thank you all for your support so much, especially all you new guys. Welcome to FPL Mate, and if you are new, then please do consider subscribing. It really does help the channel. Indeed it does. So let's move on to some of these topics. So we're going to start off with the free hit template, because I know a lot of you would have clicked on this video for the free hit template, so I'm going to be talking about it a little bit. I think the free hit is so great this week is because what we can do is we can get some Chelsea players in who play Norwich. There's really good fixtures. Norwich already relegated. Chelsea look like they can score a lot of goals in most games, so they're going to be really a good team to capitalise on. But Chelsea, of course, don't have good fixtures after that, so they have Liverpool in Game Week 37 and then Wolves in Game Week 38, so they're not necessarily players we want to keep, but definitely for this 1 week we do really want those Chelsea players. And also it's really helpful for the Man City rotation, because the Manchester City rotation is just so awkward. We can try and second guess, or we can try and pick some players who perhaps didn't play the full 90 the week before, who we think are going to play this week, and try and capitalise it, rather than being stuck with certain Man City players who might not play 1 week and might not play another week, etc. So yeah, let's look at this team. So I've gone for De Gea in goal, and I've kind of put De Gea in goal because why not? Manchester United have got a really good chance of getting a clean sheet against Crystal Palace, and in this particular week I don't think an attacking triple up on Manchester United is necessary, just because there's so many other options. The attacking assets at City, at Chelsea are looking far more interesting, and then we've got a couple other players who we might want to include as well. So there is the double up with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka creates a lot of chances, so there is attacking potential there really with Wan-Bissaka, but the clean sheets is what we're really after with De Gea and Wan-Bissaka, and you would expect versus Crystal Palace that's pretty much nailed on, so that's a nice 12 points instantly there, and then plus whatever else. Azpilicueta obviously offers quite a lot going forward for Chelsea, so he's going to be a good way of getting into the Chelsea attacking player without having to, use up all of these valuable attacking positions that we've got going on. So Azpilicueta as well, very useful with a clean sheet, just because Norwich, are we expecting them to score? They haven't been scoring very many goals at all, and they've been conceding loads. So yeah, I think if anyone's going to keep a clean sheet, I think Chelsea, although they have not looked great in defence recently against Norwich, surely if they're going to keep, if any team's going to keep a clean sheet, it's going to happen against Norwich. So Azpilicueta, very useful there, and obviously he does have the potential for attacking returns. He does get out the pitch, can get some assists in and what have you. He has been known for it, and he's got plenty of sort of 10+ point hauls, and I think this is sort of week is sort of set up for Azpilicueta to get one of his special 10+ point hauls. And then finally in defence, I've gone for Johnny. I think a Wolves defender is necessary against Burnley, because Burnley are lacking a little bit in attack at the moment, because they've got injuries and stuff. I don't think they've scored more than 1 goal in a game for a little while now, so even though Burnley are great defensively, in attack they're not really offering very much. So yeah, so Wolves are another team that is good for a clean sheet this week. So Johnny, Doherty, whoever you want to go for. I've gone for Johnny just because he's been in slightly better form recently, so why not? And then moving into midfield, we'll talk about the Manchester City triple up. But I think the right triple up for this week is probably Sterling, Foden and Jesus. Foden is due a game. He plays every other game, as we know. And this is his time to start. This is his game, so it's Foden time. And when he is on the pitch, we know he gets loads of chances and stuff, and proves excellent value for money. I mean, before Sterling's monster haul in game week 35, Foden was actually outperforming Sterling in terms of points and he's playing less minutes. So, you know, I think it looks very good, especially against this Bournemouth side who just are conceding so many goals and so many chances. So Foden looks good there. Sterling is the former player of the entire league right now. He's just insane. And if it wasn't for rotation, he really would be the best player in the whole of FPL right now. I really do think he's more valuable than De Bruyne right now. So that's why he's not included. De Bruyne obviously also perhaps due a rest, maybe resting him for the FA Cup. Sterling it could happen with as well, but I'm not sure. And then Jesus up front. Jesus is looking really good for this week. He only played 60 minutes in his last game against Brighton, so we are expecting him to start again. He starts pretty much every game when Aguero's not playing, so we're going to be having some Jesus minutes and just having him in the centre. It's looking awesome. Pulisic, I think it's very obvious why I put Pulisic in. His best attacking player in that Chelsea side at the moment. Antonio's in there as well, and we're going to be talking about him a little bit more in a second. But yeah, that's the best score in an individual game week so far this season. Well done for all of you who do have him already. But yeah, he's looking like a really important player to that West Ham team. He's the centre of every attack. Creating chances, making shots and stuff like that. And Bruno Fernandes, I'd just be too worried about going a week without Bruno Fernandes. He is one of those players who's just sort of essential, isn't he? He's the de facto essential player right now, whereas before De Bruyne might have been essential, Trent Alexander-Arnold might have been essential, maybe Salah or Mane would have been essential. Right now, Bruno Fernandes is the essential player. And then finally, up front, I've got Danny Ings chasing that golden boot. He's looking like an absolute beast at the moment. He really is on it. He really wants to score some goals, and he's definitely going to be gunning for that golden boot. And I think he can do some bits against Brighton, who have been shipping a lot of goals recently. Yes, they had some difficult games, Brighton, but I think Danny Ings is going to be all about getting a couple of goals there, so definitely worth a look. Yeah, so that's the draft I've got at the moment. Obviously, you can fill in the gaps with whatever fodder you like. But I think that looks pretty strong. Other players you can consider, maybe Giroud, maybe Willian, maybe you want to put in Martial instead of Fernandes or something like that. So there is loads of options. It's a great week for a free hit. There is so many players who are really looking like they could have really big scores in them. So yeah, take advantage of that. Just go all in on City, all in Chelsea as well, and then fill in the gaps with other players who you think right now are looking like the kind of players who want to score, who need to score, who have things to play for, whether it's a team have something to play for, individually have something to play for. Stuff like that, so do keep an eye out for all of that stuff. Right, so let us move on to a couple of differential picks that I've sort of picked out just to have a look at for the rest of the season, because there are only 3 games left, and you know, like I said earlier, the differentials are going to be so important now more than ever, because they do make that difference on your rivals. A lot of people are has the same template teams right now, so could be really useful to get in one of these players who's low ownership. Could make the difference. So let's tell you who I've got for you. So we've got Olivier Giroud at 2.8% owned. So he's expected to start against a relegated Norwich. He does have tough fixtures after that, Olivier Giroud. So they've got Liverpool next and then Wolves in the final week. But Norwich already relegated, so are they really going to be offering much of a fight now? They'll probably be playing very openly, and their defence is bad enough when they're trying to stay in the league. Now they haven't even got that anymore. It could be a cricket score, couldn't it, really? And Olivier Giroud is one of those players who's really low ownership. Because everyone was always on Tammy Abraham, but Giroud seems to be the preferred striker right now. I think there is going to be wholesale changes. Abraham started against Sheffield United in the loss, and Frank Lampard wasn't happy. He said he was going to make changes, and I think Olivier Giroud in for Tammy Abraham is going to be one of those changes. So yeah, I do expect Giroud to start and score in this game. If not multiple goals. So definitely worth a 1 week punt. Potentially keep him after that, but that's sort of up to you. My next differential is Jay Rodriguez at 0.5 ownership. That's really low ownership. And you might be surprised to learn that Jay Rodriguez has had 4 returns in his last 4 starts. That's 3 goals and an assist. The only game he did miss was because he was injured, so it's not like he's a rotation risk. He is nailed on when fit, and he is fit right now. So Burnley are in form as well, and they're winning those games. And they play Wolves this game week, but Norwich in game week 37, you know, another one of those, that game that we want to be targeting. Norwich, who have been relegated. And then Brighton in game week 38. Brighton been conceding lots of goals indeed. So Jay Rodriguez, the attacking option to look at in the Burnley squad. I mean, if we are looking at Burnley attackers, which often we aren't, but there you go, there's your option there. My third option is Stuart Armstrong, 0.6% ownership. That's not very much at all. Again, he's got Brighton, Bournemouth and Sheffield United in his final 3 games. What I like about him is he's been linking up really well with Danny Ings. He's got 1 goal and 3 assists in his 4 starts since the break, so he's looking really good. And Southampton do have those good fixtures. Danny Ings is going for that golden boot. Stuart Armstrong, probably the right man to support Danny Ings in this conquest, and he's really cheap as well, Stuart Armstrong, so you can bring him in. The only sort of minor reservation you might have is because you do want to be maximising your midfield slots. So if you want to put a cheap midfielder in there to get a 5th midfielder, then Stuart Armstrong might be the way to do that. Next one, this is a real differential, and you're probably going to have some questions about this one. He's 0.3% ownership. His name is Thomas Soucek for West Ham. He's really cheap. He's benchable. So if you don't want to play him every game, I know that West Ham have got Manchester United in Gameweek 37, so he is cheap enough to be benchable. But he has loads to play for West Ham. West Ham have good fixtures. He's having loads of shots, considering he's like a defensive midfielder almost. He's having so many shots, and he seems to be a bit of a target man for West Ham as well. So particularly for corners and crosses and free kicks, they try to deliver it to Thomas Soucek, who have the shots. So Soucek has already scored twice from set pieces, and he actually also had a goal disallowed since the break as well. So we could have had 3 goals, So he's a real differential. He's a bit of a risk, but he is cheap, and yeah, like I said, he's a super differential. So definitely worth thinking about. I'm not sure he'd be the first on my list. And then finally, last but not least, Michael Antonio, 2.5% ownership, which is just ridiculously low, isn't it? And I don't think he'll stay at 2.5% ownership for very long. I think they'll be rocketing up during this game week after his monster haul in game week 35. He's shooting a ridiculous amount of time. I've spoken about Antonio before, how much he shoots. It's more than pretty much any other player in the Premier League at this present moment. He's creating loads of chances as well for his teammates. He's the centre of every West Ham attack. He's got great confidence. He's got great form. And you know what, he won't be a differential for very long, so it might be worth getting on him now. Even though it seems a little bit like you might be chasing points a little bit, I still think Antonio has a little bit left to offer this season. So yeah, I would definitely still consider bringing him in. And finally, let's talk about the most important subject of the week, which is our captaincy choices. My top 3 captaincy picks for the week that you might want to consider. So number 1, if you have him, you might not have him, is Gabriel Jesus. Now, I really like Gabriel Jesus at the moment. He topped pretty much every metric for forwards in game week 35. So most shots, 7 shots in game week 35, all of which were in the box. He's second best for big chances, only behind Troy Deeney because of Troy Deeney's 2 penalties. He's got the lowest minutes per chance in that game week with 1 chance every 9 minutes, which is just ridiculous. That's so many chances. The second highest expected goals and expected goal involvements, again only behind Deeney because of those penalties, which has sort of skewed it a little bit. He's actually slightly underperforming on his stats over the last few games, so he could be good against Bournemouth, where Bournemouth are a kind of team where you perhaps would expect to score more than what you expect. So it could be a really good week for him, and he's just one of those central figures in Man City's attack, just because he's got quality players all around him that are creating chances for him, and then he's also got all these quality attacking players around him for him to create opportunities and chances for. So it's really beneficial for him being in the centre of all of these amazing Manchester City attackers. Stats and eye tests suggest that Bournemouth have improved defensively over the last 2, but they haven't improved to a point where you'd say that a team like City doesn't steamroll them. So this is the game that we want to be looking at for captaincies, really, City against Bournemouth. They are also Bournemouth missing now Nathan Ake as well as Adam Smith in defence, so they do have some additional fragilities there that we might want to keep an eye on. And then if they do concede early, they will have to attack the game if they want to get anything out of it, because they're trying to get out of these relegation spots, so they might have to really come out and attack the game. And if they do that after conceding early, it could be a very, very high scoring game as well. Manchester City could go absolutely wild on them, so that's definitely something to consider. My second option is Christian Pulisic. He's probably In fact, he's definitely the former player of the Chelsea team, isn't he? He looks like their best player at the moment, and he's one of the former players of the league, to be fair. He's been clinical, he's shooting lots, he's hunting for goals, he's been a bit greedy. All of these things great for FPL, of course. His expected goals and assist stats don't look particularly great, but I think he's the kind of player where you can kind of ignore those stats because he's the player likely to outperform these things. But he is unlikely to assist unless he's fouled. He's because I said, like he said, he's a little bit greedy, so he's not really wanting to pass to teammates. But if he gets fouled, Willian to take the free kick and score. But I do think he has looked a better player overall than Willian. Willian, of course, has been taking advantage of all these set pieces, penalties and free kicks and the like. But from open play, Pulisic is looking better indeed, isn't he? With the news of City being allowed in the Champions League next year, Chelsea are going to have to go all out to achieve top 4, so that's going to be some strong starting 11s, every game, including this one, and I think Pulisic has got to be amongst those 11. And Norwich, on the other hand, they've looked defensively unfit for the Premier League, quite frankly, and as such, they're going down. So now they've been relegated, they've got nothing to play for. Perhaps they might rotate, bring in some younger players. Perhaps they'll play much more open, expansive football, just go out there and have fun rather than trying to sit back and not let Chelsea score. Again, another one of the 2 games this week that could be really big that we want to be thinking about. So Christian Pulisic got to be a really good captaincy shout, hasn't he, this week, if you've got him. Aside from that, we want to be looking at other Manchester City players, I think. I don't think we go too far into the Chelsea squad. Maybe Willian, maybe Giroud, if that's all you've got. But let's look at Raheem Sterling. So he would be the number 1 captain pick, I would say, if it wasn't for the Man City rotation risk. He did play 90 minutes versus Brighton, and Pep might want him fresh for the FA Cup game against Arsenal just a couple of days after. But he is in the form of his life. Like I said, he's arguably the best fantasy asset right now out of all players. When he's on the pitch anyway, he just looks dynamite, and a player you really want to own, and you're fearful when you don't own him. 6 goals and 3 assists in his last 6 games, a hat-trick in his last game against Brighton. It's just mad, really, isn't it? Other captaincy shouts include Foden, I guess, David Silva from Manchester City, if you already have them. Outside of that, it's probably too risky because of rotation. De Bruyne, I think, will be a bit too worried about rotation, and he doesn't seem to get too much in the easier games anyway. Mahrez, I think, is a big rotation risk. Not sure if he's going to play. Bernardo Silva, I wouldn't really go near. And you want to be looking at attackers only, really. So that's pretty much it. So potentially Foden or David Silva, but outside of that, I think I'd just rather go for a different player from a different team. And there are some players that we need to be careful not to ignore. Of course, we've got the Manchester United guys, Bruno Fernandes, possibly Martial, maybe even Danny Ings, like chasing that golden boot. So there's loads and loads and loads of options for captaincy this week, and that's why I think it's such a great week for a free hit as well, because we could just put in all of these players who have such great fixtures all in at once. So there you go, those are the captain options. There's so many to choose from, so do let me know who you think you're going to go for, because there's so many choices, isn't there, this week. But yes, that's it for the Game Week 36 preview video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. I'm wishing you all a very big, great, amazing luck for Game Week 36. And I'm hoping to get something good out of this week too. But we'll see. If you are new around here, like I said, please do consider subscribing. Like the video if you did enjoy what you saw today. And other than that, I will see you on the Game Week 37. Wow, that far already. Game Week 37 team selection video for the next game week. Can't believe it. We're nearly at the end of the season. We really are. But there we go. Right, I will see you all later, mates. Bye bye.